This is just some recent headline news and some videos that I happen to come across. It is not meant to cause any sort of fear, just awareness.
The second dream I had last night, and it woke me up. In this dream, we just had a yard sale to help fund a team going to Ecuador this next year. I walk into the bank to get some change. And on the door it says there's no change available. I saw the sign, it registered in my mind, but I walked on in and I said, I need to get $10 in quarters for a yard sale. And she said, I'm sorry, but the U.S. Mint is no longer making currency. Like pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars. We're not doing that anymore. And I was like, well, what do you mean? She said, they've stopped doing it. And I said, well, how are we going to be able to charge $1.50 for anything? And she said, prepare for hyperinflation and just charge $2.
It's like an electronic guided tour of our global behavior since 1900 and where that behavior will lead us. Well, this is the printed version of what we've just seen on the television screen. Now, it increases rapidly up to 1940, but from 1940 on, the quality of life diminishes. And here we are about the turn of the century, and we come up to the year 2020, and it's really come right back. More people, of course, means that you start to chew up your supply of natural resources. And this is this curve here, the N curve. And it shows that slowly but steadily, the pool of natural wealth in the world, natural resources, minerals, oil, and so on, is slowly but steadily diminishing. So this is the situation. As population increases, the quality of life decreases, and the supply of natural resources decreases. But have a look at this curve here. This is called the Z curve, and it represents pollution. Now, predictably enough, as the population increases up to 1980, pollution increases. There's more rubbish. But from 1980 to the year 2020, pollution really takes off. This is assuming, of course, that we don't do anything about it. So the year 2020, the condition of the planet starts to become highly critical. And if we don't do anything about it, this is what's going to happen. The quality of life is going to go right back to practically zero.
In the UK, it's happening in the United States, it's happening in Australia. All deaths are basically being labelled as COVID deaths now, whether they are or not. All you have to do is test positive for this genetic material in your body, and they'll save it. And it doesn't matter if you get hit by a truck, they'll still put you down as a death simply because you tested positive for this genetic material at some stage, and they don't even know if the genetic material you tested positive for is actually, because there's never been a Koch's postulate done. They've never isolated or actually identified this virus as actually existing.
Pollution is going to become so serious, right out here, that it will start to kill people. So the population will diminish. Right back here, less than it was in the year 1900. And at this stage, around about the year 2040, 2050, civilized life as we know it on this planet will cease to exist.
On Monday night, I had another dream. And it woke me from my bed. I made notes about it. I shot some video of myself, just making sure I can remember. But here's what I saw. I saw a calendar. Start with a calendar. And as I was having this, the calendar was up, a white figure appeared. And to me, it was representing God, the Holy Spirit, something pure, something righteous, something true, something holy, because there was nothing sinister about it, nothing evil. But I heard the voice say, part two. And I saw June go up. I saw July, I saw August, and then I saw September. And I saw the finger underneath the word September, and like emphasizing it, and tapped it 3 times.
I said to you back about 4 months ago, my Pentagon source, also advisor to the president, had told me that come August or September, no, I'm sorry, not August, just September, everybody on the planet will know we're in really serious condition.
And then I saw October come up, and then I saw November, and this is when it got real to me in the dream.
But if we go over and look to November the 2nd, now this is where it starts to get serious. We're looking at the minimum distance of 0.002, and even closer distance if you look at the next column, which says AU, or astronomical unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun. But on November the 2nd, 2018, VP1, the asteroid, it's saying it will come 4,777.12 miles from the planet.
So I think the intensity, according to my Fitbit, when I woke up, my heart rate was about 180. So that was Monday night.
Something interesting about it, if you put in the math of the 3.19 E-5 AU, or astronomical units, it's saying 3,634 miles is the distance. Guys, if you understand what's called orbital mechanics and the way they measure distances from objects in space, is from the center of each object, not from the surface.
But anyway, the minute the finger underlined November 3 times, instead of tapping it, I saw a fist ball up and it hit the calendar. And literally, the calendar exploded into the wall. The number...
Any celestial orbital mechanics equation, which uses altitude, uses the altitude from the center, not the surface of the planet. Okay, so with 1 AU, we're at 3,634 miles from the center of the planet. But how thick is our planet, guys? Do you realize that puts the impact point at around 300 miles inside the surface of the planet? The Earth's diameter, look, 7,917.5 miles. That's how thick, that's how wide the Earth is. Half of that is 3,958 miles. Okay? Now look at this AU mile chart at the top right, 3,634 miles. So that puts the impact, again, 300 miles into the surface of the planet.
Numbers seemed like they were 3D and they were just flying everywhere. And there was a cloud of chaos that started. And
I've been going through some discussions. We've been trying to compare notes about the things that are coming. And it appears to be that the debris field that I spoke to you about 4 months ago, after maybe it's longer than 4 months, but I think it's about 4 months ago, when my own White House source shared with me that we would be going through what, as I quoted, and I think I even shared with you the email, what I call an asteroid belt.
And the next thing I saw was I saw armed protesters. I saw fighting in the streets. I saw people pummeling one another. I saw businesses shuttered and shut up. I saw schools closed. I saw schoolrooms with cobwebs hanging in them, and like things like papers falling off the wall and posters falling, like no one had been in them for months. And I saw monuments. I saw Washington, D.C. burning. I saw Washington, D.C. blazing. I saw fires everywhere. I saw people being rounded up. I saw Chinese and Russian soldiers.
Geneva, Dr. Aurelio Pache, founder of the club, and Dr. Alexander King, Director of the World Bank and the United Nations OECD. Dr. King, now you're describing the world as a closed system where all these things are interrelated, and yet the government, the control of the system is by individual nation state.
I was at an important meeting in Washington a couple of weeks ago, and Peterson, the former Secretary of Commerce, was saying the same thing from an economic point of view, that the general world economic situation, the interdependence of countries on their food and fuels and so on, is leading to an interdependence which has seeds of draining away sovereignty within it. But the building up probably in the next decade in a number of particularly sensitive fields like energy, raw materials, the use of the oceans, space, and or for control of the wavelengths in radio and 101 other things, of a number of what people are tending to call regimes, which will not be ordinary United Nations type of organizations, but semi-management organizations. There'll be a great deal of consent in them.
Russian soldiers on the ground. And Russian soldiers were telling the Chinese soldiers to go and pick up these people, round up these people, secure this quadrant, secure this area. I saw blue helmets of the UN. I saw military things taking place. The fist punch on the November of 2020 is what got my attention.
Where this object will go. And so I put in 2018 VP1. That's this asteroid. The last time was November the 19th that they were able to get an orbit on this thing. The condition code is 7. That's important. And there's your last date of orbit, November the 19th, 2018. The condition code goes from 0 to 9. 0 means they know pretty much exactly where it's going. 9 means they're very unsure.
And then I heard the words again, brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself.
Now, we play this forward. I'm just going to make it very quick, but we'll go up to where it's going to come under the Earth as we look at this. And then notice how the Earth, which is in the blue orbit, intersects the white orbit up in front of where Venus is now.
And once again, I'm not claiming to be a prophet. I'm not proclaiming, just let's see what happens in November, through November, and see if I'm right about this.
Of where Venus is now. That's the date on November 2nd that we're going to have this close approach, whatever you want to call it. I'm just looking at the numbers on it.
And the things that I was saying, I don't say this to scare people, but I say this to warn people that there are some pretty sinister things coming down the pike. And not just for the lost, but for God's people as well.
That's why they're getting their second wave, because they're pushing this testing. They're making the testing mandatory. And anybody they test is pretty well going to come up positive. If engine oil can come up positive, if you can send tests in that haven't even had anybody's, sample put on them and they still come back positive, then pretty well anybody and anything is going to test positive, folks. Most people have had a flu vaccine will test positive, so that's how they're getting their second wave. It's just media driven. There is no second wave because there wasn't a first wave. There is no, folks. It's all about crashing the world economic system.
And then she said to me in the dream, oh, and by the way, $1 and $5 bills will follow soon after that. And then I heard those words, brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself.
And it's time that we kind of show the world, like, why, right? Why? Because we're no bullshit, here. We're all about the truth. We're all about love. We're all about acceptance. We're all about breaking that box, right? And saying, screw religion, screw political ideology, screw all the paradigms and labels that you want to try and put us into, right? We're human beings. And we are not just awakened, right? That's such a generic label, man. We're transcending this bitch. And if everybody else wants to stay in the soul trap, they can stay. But, we're getting up out of this place, man. And we're going to do it together. And we're going to take a lot of the things that we do, and we're going to use it to help people. We're going to use it to help people. We're going to use it to expand, and we're going to use it to get the truth out there, because at the end of the day, it's the truth that will set you free, and the only way out of this place is by going within.
Thank you so much for watching, and much love to you all.
Let's put our minds together as one and remember the ones who've passed on to the sky world. Their life duties are complete. They are living peacefully in the sky world. In the sky world. Let's put our minds
Even if we refuse to comply, everybody else is going to lead us in there. That's the problem. That's the problem with what we're facing here, folks. Now is the time for everybody to realise that, there's a war being waged against us. And we have a lot of tools that we can use to fight this war.
in the sky.